Yo, what up, boys? It is Juke Larry, and I figured I'd actually make a YouTube video. Um, because why not? I really have been getting into Magic the Gathering, especially in the last few sets. So I figured that I would try and do a little deck tech for a commander I don't really see much talk about, and it's this one, Bright Palm Soul Awakener. I really like this new backup mechanic, and I've really been playing around with it a lot, and I'm pretty happy with how this deck has turned out. Just made some more modifications to it, but hopefully it plays out well. So Bright Palm Soul Awakener, it's one red, green, white. It has backup one. When this creature enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. If it's another creature, it gains the following ability until the end of the turn. Whenever this creature attacks, double the number of 1/1 counters on target creature. That creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less until this turn. So, like, just having a big beat stick with +1/+1 counters, you can't chump block it. It even if it's just like five, like a 5/5 or something, like early game, being able to not allow it to be chump blocked is really big, especially for someone like running some mana dorks or whatever. Then sometimes it can just be unblockable early on. It's really fun. So obviously this deck is mostly green, with a fair bit of white in it. It doesn't have a lot of red spells. There's not a lot of red cards that I personally have that would work well with this, um, but I'm sure there's some. I know there is a card that doubles like ETB triggers of red permanents, of red shamans. Actually, I forget what the name of the card is, but since the Bright Palm is a Fox Shaman, that would work really well with that. But anyway, this is my current deck that I have IRL. Um, if anyone in the comments would recommend me anything, I will definitely take the advice. I do have the Red Terror that would work with all be want to do an infinite combo and all that crap. But honestly, I kind of wanted to stray away from doing infinites. Um, I could easily just switch out a card and then boom, there's a combo in the deck. But this is more casual type of thing. But first let's get the creatures, man. Gotta have Apex Devastator, freaking 10/10 with quadruple cascade. Like, you can't really get better than that. Like, if this doesn't get countered, then you pretty much won the game at that point. Benevolent Hydra. You're gonna notice I have some like hardened scales type effects in here. Benevolent Hydra is no exception. Just giving counters to things, especially if you do have, as I said, hardened scales. I have some other hardened scales type effects like the new Ozolith. That tap ability, moving around the counters, I believe moving, yeah, it's just remove, and it's just put a +1/+1 counter. So you can remove counters from Benevolent Hydra, and they pretty much get multiplied on other permanents. It's really, really nice. Birds of Paradise, I mean, come on, it's Birds of Paradise. Blanchwood Prowler, this card, I put it in here simply so there's like a chance of like getting that ETB and then milling something at pretty valuable, but digging to other permanents that would be more helpful in a current situation. And it's only a 2 drop. It can be a 2 drop 2/2, or you can get an extra land just in case there is a bit of a mana drought on, in your hand. Like you have two lands, maybe a mana rock. You just mill three. You can get a powerful creature in the graveyard that you can bring back later, and then possibly get a land into your hand. I found Blanchwood's pretty cool, but it also puts a +1/+1 counter on itself, so that can easily start getting the whole multiplication of counters engine rolling. Bloom Tender doesn't do the best in this deck, but still tapping for 3 mana is pretty nice. Uh, obviously, Bloom Tender is better in like a 4 or 5 color deck, but it's still a pretty useful mana dork here. Conclave Mentor. Here's another example of the hardened scales type effects. And then when it dies, you gain life equal to its power. So just in case you want to buff up Conclave Mentor, like go for it. You're gonna get some good value out of it, but it's mainly here for the Hardened Scales esque effect. The Conclave Sledge Captain has backup one, backup one, backup one. So this can either be on three different creatures. It can have two instances of the same ability on one creature and then one on another one, or obviously what I like to do is put all three backup triggers on one creature. So it gets this, hold up, it gets this following ability three separate times. I actually was talking with some people at my local game store, um, and yeah, since because of how backup works, um, let me see if I can find one that actually explains it. God damn, none of these do. But yeah, like it says, each backup ability triggers separately. So this ability would be put on a creature multiple times. So getting something that's like pretty weak and you have Bright Palm out, and then this boy just hits the field. You back up one, the same creature three times. Bright Palm doubles the counters on it, and then when it has trample, it gains trample from this creature as well. So it'll gain trample, and then when it deals combat damage, which is probably gonna be a lot, considering you're multiplying counters, um, you're gonna get that many plus one counters on it. So let's say you have like a base power toughness 3 thing, it's just like some vanilla whatever, and you have Bright Palm out. This boy comes in, gives it 3 plus one counters and trample. Um, let's say you just put it on Bright Palm. Okay, you got Bright Palm out. Um, Conclave Sledge Captain comes in, back up one Bright Palm 3 times. It's now a 7/6. You swing with Bright Palm. Those counters on Bright Palm get multiplied. So now it's a 10/9 with trample until end of turn. Um, and then it'll deal, let's say it deals like 5 damage, then it gets 5 more counters on it. Like, this man goes insane. Doomscar Warrior, when it has backup one, it also can give other things trample, but it also has trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or battle, look at that many cards from the top of your library. Reveal a creature or land from among them and put it in your hand. There's a few cards like this where you deal damage and then you look at however many cards, and then you pretty much just tutor something off the top of your library, put it in your hand, put it on the battlefield. Really insane abilities from the backup. Emergent Woodworm is pretty much the same, except it's on attack trigger. And then Gen Hydra's on cast. Just having these three in the deck to not only get a body out with counters on it, but then tutor something from top is really, it really increases the consistency in here. And then I have Mommy, Elish Norn, Mommy of Machines. Like it multiplies the backup triggers and then disables opponents. It's 4 with 7S with vigilance. You start putting counters on Elish Norn, you can also make Elish Norn into one hell of a beater. Like, those are some really good stats that will only get multiplied in this deck. Emergent Woodworm, like I said, has backup 3, so it'll put 3 plus one counters on something else. When this creature attacks, you look at the top X cards, X its power. You may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from among them on the battlefield. So, pretty nuts. And this deck also has some cards that give extra combats. So, being able to back up something that has a huge amount of power, let's say like 10 plus, and then attacking multiple times, you're looking at the top 30 cards of your deck and putting 3 permanents with mana value 10 or less on the battlefield. Like, in absolutely nuts. And Fauna Shaman, this just helps you get whatever creatures you need. It'll also help put creatures in the graveyard. Let's say you get like a really high cost. Let's say you get like Emergent Woodworm in your starting hand and Fauna Shaman. You can just get rid of Emergent Woodworm, and then get something like, I don't know, Fertilid is pretty decent. Forgotten Ancient, like stuff like that's pretty good. And then you can also bring whatever creature you put in the grave back. with what is it? Guardian Scalelord. Guardian Scalelord is really good, but I'll get to that in a bit. We got Fertilid, enters the battlefield with two 1/1 counters on it. So already, just like, those are going to get multiplied, easy peasy. But you can remove counters from it, and then either you can search for a basic land, or anyone else can if you want to do some politic type stuff. Pay 2 mana, its target player searches their library for a basic land and puts it on the battlefield tapped. So you can do some politic type stuff, real sneaky like, but obviously most of the time you're going to be targeting yourself with that. Forgotten Ancient, just really good. Whenever a player casts a spell, you may put a 1/1 counter on it. Beginning of your upkeep, you can just move those around onto any other creatures. They can be your opponent's creatures. They can be your creatures. Like, it's pretty nuts what you can do with Forgotten Ancient, and especially if you get it within the first few turns. People casting their mana rocks and their ramp spells, like just going once around the table. You'll get 7 +1/+1 counters on this guy, and nobody's really casting removal unless they're, you know, playing specifically a removal deck like black white or something that wants other people to sack creatures or other creatures to die. That, like, Forgotten Ancient definitely is something that deserves a response, but normally doesn't get it if you cast it early on. Where is it? There we go. Gen Hydra, already went over this, but this one is on cast. When you cast a spell, reveal top X cards of your library, put a non-land permanent with mana cost X or less onto the battlefield. Enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. I would put more Hydras in this deck if it wasn't for stuff like Woodworm. Just getting stuff for free off the top of your library, because then those Hydras wouldn't really do anything. Good Fortune Unicorn. Hardened Scales effect. Can't go wrong. Goreclaw. Very good cost reducer. This is definitely a card I would search with Fauna Shaman. Creature spells with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. So your commander costs 2 less. Your really good backup cards cost 2 less to cast. I think all of them are like 4 power or greater. Yeah, because Bright Palm's 4, Conclave Sledge Captain's 4, Doomscar's 4, Emergent Woodworm's 4, the Guardian Scalelord's only 3, which is unfortunate. But yeah, you can. This is gets really good really fast. And then when Goreclaw attacks, each creature with 4 or greater power gets +1/+1 on trample. So he's like a trample enabler, especially for, like, you know, your commander, Emergent Woodworm, because Emergent Woodworm doesn't have any keywords, but that ability is really good. Throw trample on that, insane, and increase its power. It's nuts. Guardian Scalelord, backup one with flying. When this creature attacks, return target non-land permanent with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is this creature's power. Really just fantastic, especially after a board wipe. You know, you cast your mana rocks, or maybe you cast something like Fertilid afterwards with 2 +1/+1 counters. Bring out Guardian Scalelord. You know, put a 1/1 counter on Fertilid, get something with mana cost 3 or less, and then you just start recurring stuff. Get Bright Palm out, make Guardian Scalelord bigger, multiply the counters on it, get something back from the graveyard. Like, you can very quickly recover with Guardian Scalelord. Gyre Sage, little mana rock, little mana dork, I should say. It has Evolve, so it'll get 1/1 counters on it. And then add green for each 1/1 counter on Gyre Sage. Really good early. Getting this in, like, the first, like, 10 cards of your deck is stupid good. Jorga Tree Speaker, it's just like, it's pretty much a 3 mana add 2 mana add 2 green. All you'll want to do is level Jorga up once. Like, don't even bother getting it up to 5. Getting Jorga turn 1 and then leveling her up turn 2, it's really nice. I don't see this card in play a lot. I feel like it should, because when you level it up, it doesn't have Summoning Sickness on turn 2, so it's really, I'm a big fan. Colonian Hydra. Who would have guessed? This is in here. It had a reprint in this deck. This card was actually in this deck. Trample enters with 4 1/1 counters on it. When it attacks, double the number of 1/1 counters on each creature you control. Like, you can see how that gets out of hand real quick. Kami of Whispered Hopes, another Hardened Scales effect, and then it has tap, add X mana of any one color, where X is Kami of Whispered Hopes power. Once again, can get pretty insane. Anything basing off 1/1 counters or power is nuts. Kodama of the Westry, another card that just gives modified creatures trample. It just gives your shit trample. Deals combat damage. When a modified creature you control deals combat damage, search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield. You kill people, and you ramp. Like, there's nothing else to say about that. Land of War Elves and Land of War Loam Speaker, very low cost bodies that you can start stacking counters on. Lotus Cobra, like, come on, it's just more mana. You can quickly mana fix with Cobra too, with landfall triggers. Mana Gorger Hydra, it's just a weaker version of Forgotten Ancient, I feel. It's still really good with trample. This thing having trample is dummy good. But obviously, having this and Forgotten Ancient on field is insane. Morog, Fury of Akom. Each creature gets +1/+0 for each time it attacked, the landfall, and then it gives an extra combat. You have to play this in a specific way, because if you play your land on your first main phase, you don't get the combat, because it specifically says additional combat, which means, like, a combat would have already had to have taken place in order to get that additional, I believe. Anyone in the comments, please correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it gives extra combats just for landfall. And now, would this trigger multiple times? Like, let's say I played a land and then I played a Cultivate. This is my second main phase. Would there be 2 additional combats? I'm not 100%. I want to say yes. Pride Malkin, 3-drop, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Each creature with +1/+1 counters on it has trample. So another trample enabler. Rishkar puts 1/1 counters on things. Everything with a counter on it has tap, add a green. Turns your 1/1 counter dudes into mana dorks, which is good. But mainly, just putting 1/1 counters on things in this deck is nuts. Shalai and Halar. Late game, stupid good. With Bright Palm and all of the counter synergy and everything, you can easily just on combat do like 10 to 15 damage to somebody if you double counters. Really nuts. I mainly had this in here to go with the Red Terror, but like I said, I wanted to remove the infinite combo type shit. But I mean, if I'm feeling real salty, I might replace something with the Red Terror and then, just tutor into everything I need and kill everybody. Territorial Scythecat, absolutely love this. This is my favorite card from Zendikar. It's only a common. It's trample and landfall. When it enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Territorial Scythecat. It's insane. Like, it's in green. Already nuts, especially with all the amount of ramp spells in there. On turn 2, or actually more like turn 3 or 4, this thing can already have like 3 +1/+1 counters on it, and then you bring in you bring in Bright Palm and just multiply them. It gets out of hand very fast. And then we gotta have Vorinclex. I do not have the Phyrexian text in person. I have the normal English print. I wish I had this frame. This frame is so cool. But pretty much it has trample and haste. It doubles the amount of counters you put on your own permanents and halves the amount of counters your opponents put on theirs. So yeah, it's like, I'm gonna double the counters on something with Bright Palm. Oh wait, I have Vorinclex. That's another double. So that gets pretty much quadrupled. Actually, no, that's not how that works. Never mind. Don't listen to me. So Bright Palm would double. Let's say something had 6 1/1 counters on it. So Bright Palm would add 6 more because it doubles, and then that double trigger would double. So instead of 6, it would add 12. It wouldn't just double the counters. It doubles the counters getting added, which is still insane. Vorinclex is insane in this deck. Sorceries, we got ramp spells. Cultivate Emergent Sequence is pretty decent because it also makes your land into a dude that can have the counters multiplied on it. Farseek, Kodama's Reach, Rampant Growth. I have Shamanic Revelation and Traverse the Outlands. Traverse the Outlands is mainly for Scythecat, if you have Scythecat. And obviously, if you don't, by the time you cast Traverse the Outlands, you're going to get every single basic land out of your deck. Pretty nuts. I love this card. Shamanic Revelation, draw cards, and then gain 4 life for each creature with power 4 or greater, which is gonna be a lot. And then Green Sun Zenith, nice little tutor. I'd say with this early game, go for Mana Gorger Hydra, go for Forgotten Ancient. If it's more late game, obviously you're gonna try and get Vorinclex out. You're gonna try and get Elesh Norn out. Pretty easy. Same with Court of Calling. And the Convoke really helps seal the deal on here. Generous Gift, nice little removal. I have Swords to Plowshares. Teferi's Protection. Return of the Wild Speaker, just so we get some more card draw in there. Inspiring Call gives your creatures with 1/1 counters on it indestructible. Oh, and you draw a card for each creature with a 1/1 counter on it. Here's some more ramp. The Harrow. Artifacts, we got Arcane Signet, Fractured Power Stone, a lot of 2 mana drops. We have Lithoform Engine and Strionic Res to copy triggered. We also have Panharmonicon. So there's a lot of copying triggers. Here's Ozolith, as I mentioned earlier, Hardened Scales type effect. And then the rest of it is just very cheap mana rocks that you want to throw out. Then enchantments all be 1. So this with Shalai and Alar, you're going to be doing a lot of damage every time you put counters on stuff. Finally, we got Hardened Scales, who's been the star of this freaking show in terms of other cards, because there's a bunch of abilities very similar to it. For lands, we got Battlefield Forge, Branch Off Pathway, got a lot of ways to just mana fix, Command Tower. I'm debating on getting rid of Exotic Orchard. A lot of people play green and white, so I haven't really had a problem getting the colors I need with Exotic Orchard. But it kind of depends on what your play group is. You got your forest, you got a bunch of dual lands. I do have Land of War Reborn, because it has Graft 1. This land enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you may move a 1/1 counter from this land onto it. So it's another way to get that little ball rolling. Rogue's Passage, 4 mana, creature becomes unblockable. You can just kill someone with that eventually. And then you got some. These were in the precons. I tried to leave the mana base pretty similar to the precons. Scry 1, Scry 1, Scry 1. Kessig Wolf Run was in there. It gives something +X+0 and trample. Gavany puts a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. It had some pretty good lands in here. Battlefield Forge was not in there. Branch Lost Pathway was not in there. Spire Garden wasn't. But a lot of this stuff was. And it was really good. I really like this playtest feature in Mox Palm, but I'm not a big fan of it. So I'm gonna do a little test hand in this program called Cockatrice. We're just gonna do a little solitaire. Just playing by yourself. I'm more familiar with the whole Cockatrice layout than I am Moxfield, and I think it is a little bit cleaner in here. So this is starting hand. That's not bad. I'm pretty much mana fixed in starting hand, so I'm gonna keep that. We're gonna play this like it's a 4-player game, so we're gonna draw for turn. We're gonna game trail, reveal the forest, and then pass. I'm gonna keep track of turn counter up here, so that was turn 1. Next turn it's turn 2. We're gonna forest, tap 2, Should I do the Blanchwood right now? Nah. I'm gonna put Talisman up. Next turn, untap, upkeep, draw. Hit him with the Forest. Now I think... Probably should have put a Plains out instead, whatever. I'll take the one. Here's a Shalayan Uller. Easy peasy. Ooh, yes. Oh yeah, get that Mana Gorger out. I'll put a Plains. Tap 2 for Blanchwood Prowler. We have some triggers on cast. Going to get a 1/1 counter on it. Blanchwood Prowler. I'm going to mill 3 cards. I can put a land from them into my hand. If not, I will put a 1/1 counter on it. Shalayan Alar triggers. We have the... We'll ping something for 1 with the Mana Gorger Hydra. We'll ping something for 1 with the Blanchwood Prowler. And then the pass turn, it is turn 4. Like, this is turn 4. This is turn 4. And insane. Too bad I can't really cast anything else that I'd want to do. So we're going to throw in Forgotten Ancient. Increased power and toughness. So we already have a 3/3 trample. And then I'll ping something else for 1. Yeah, it's turn 4. There's probably a guy who's open right now. Swing for 3. Then we'll pass. Ooh, Court of Calling. That's neat. Ooh. Okay. So, since it has Convoke, tap these for green mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got a Court of Calling. X equals 6. I don't know why it's Spanish in here. Where is my boy? Foreign clicks. So yeah, this is turn 4, right? So untap. Bam. Puts game trail. It's game 2. Turn 2. Turn 3. Turn 4. Fuck. I think I'm fucking it up. Damn it. So that was turn 1. Player 1's turn. That's turn 2. That's turn 3. 4. 5. 6. Wow, I really messed up. There we go. This is turn 6. This was on cast of Court of Calling, so we're gonna increase power and toughness. Just of those two. Add a counter. Shalayan Alar will ping something for 2. And then swing Vorinclex at somebody, and then we will pass. It's turn 7. Draw. Oh, now we get Bloom Tender. See, we only have 7 mana, but that's fine. That is perfectly okay. I'm going to tap 4. We're going to get Bright Palm out. I'm going to back up the Mana Gorger Hydra, but except first on cast. Increase power and toughness. And then I'm going to back up the Mana Gorger Hydra. I think I missed the upkeep trigger from Forgotten Ancient. I could have had an extra counter on Mana Gorger, but it's whatever. Oh wait, Vorinclex trigger. That doubled those counters. So this actually has... So that doubled from the cast, and that doubled from the backup. Awesome. Awesome possum. This also doubled from the cast. Sorry guys, I'm professional, I promise. Yeah, and then we're gonna tap 2. Bloom Tender. On cast. Get 1/1 counters. And then they get doubled from Vorinclex. So 9 +1/+1 counters. Increase. Alrighty. And then Shalayan Alar is constantly pinging either opponents or their permanents. Already probably pinged shit for, I think for like 10 damage so far. Going to combat. Swing with Mana Gorger Hydra. On combat, because it's backed up with Bright Palm Soul Awakener, I will choose to double its counters. So it will turn into a, let's see, it has 9 counters, 18. It'll be a 19/19 with 18 +1/+1 counters on it. So wabam. I think this is turn 8. Bam. It's turn 9. Draw a card. Ooh, Doomscar. I see you. I guess we'll do it just to show how dumb Doomscar is, and then just in case, like someone's about to die this turn. Someone will die this turn. 4 for Doomscar Warrior. I'm gonna back up the Mana Gorger Hydra. Now, obviously, this is assuming that nothing goes wrong. But this deck can so quickly recover. It's insane. Going to combat. Swinging with Mana Gorger Hydra. I'll just do it by itself, just so I'm not looking through fucking 40 cards. Mana Gorger Hydra. It'll deal. Let's say it deals 15 of its damage. So we're gonna view the top 15 cards in my library, and then it's just yeah, reveal a creature or land card and put it into my hand. What do I want in my hand? Because there's Elvish Norn, but I think Colonian Hydra is a better pick, and the rest of these will go on bottom in the random order. And then I will pass turn. Ooh, Canopy Vista. I control 2 or more basic lands. That's coming in. I think now I can cast Apex Devastator. And I'll do this Apex Devastator cast, which will then have 4 more casts behind it. And then both of these will be getting 10 +1/+1 counters. I'm not going to be calculating that because I think this video is getting a little long, but this will be the final turn. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Apex Devastator. 2 counters, 2 counters. Shalayan Alar is pinging things. Quadruple Cascade. Oh, look, Hardened Scales. Forest. Exotic Orchard. Jorga Tree Speaker. That's not bad. Territorial Scythe Cat. And the Ozolith. Damn, if only the Ozolith was like the first one. Then we're gonna move to bottom. Yeah, I think that was turn 11. I want to say that was either turn 11 or 12. Dummy board state. Mana Gorger's like a 31/31. Forgotten Ancient is a 10/13. Like this deck can do work. If you guys are interested in this kind of deck, I would say what I like to do is buy the precon and just work with it. If you guys do want to see this deck list, I have the Moxfield link below. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck. Maybe one of these days I can get one of my friends and we can play online and I'll upload some gameplay or something. But yeah, if you guys have any thoughts or recommendations, please definitely let me know in the comments. But yeah, I will see you beautiful people later.